Hello, welcome to this video on week 8, Shaw Online University English 111 Online, Spring Semester 2018. I'm your host, Jason Morgan. Actually, I'm not your host, I'm your professor. Anyway, so what's going on this week? We are working on paper 2, which is an argumentative paper. So just as a quick review, a couple of weeks ago we picked topics and you did some sources, or you did some research. Last week you started the introduction, the first introduction draft of the introduction as far as the paper goes. And this week we're working on something called the refutation. What the heck is the refutation? Well, refutation basically is if you're going to pick a side and you're trying to convince somebody that your side is correct, you're really not going to be able to convince somebody unless you address the concerns that they have. That's kind of what the refutation does. Now, there's a whole lecture right down here. It's not very long, it's a few minutes long, that explains the concept behind refutation and why it's important in including it in a paper. So if you, let's say, let's just use an example of medical marijuana. Someone says, your paper is for legalizing, actually, this is not going to make it medical marijuana. Let's say it's recreational marijuana. Let's say your paper is in favor of, legalizing marijuana, recreational use, and the reasons you give are, it's basically it's not as harmful, or the tax revenues, or people are doing it anyway, might as well legalize it, whatever the issue is. But you're going to have people who are going to disagree with you, and so you would need to address those issues straight on. One of the biggest issues that people are going to have against legalizing marijuana would be, oh, it's a gateway drug. If you start doing marijuana, that's going to lead you to doing crystal meth or other, stuff that's down the line. So you have to address that issue straight on and just explain why their concern isn't really something they need to be concerned about, and that your side actually will overweigh any concerns that they have. So, again, that's what the refutation is about. So what we're doing this week is, when you're done watching this video, watch the video on refutation, and it kind of explains it. And then you're going to write a paragraph, basically, acknowledging the other side of the issue. At the same time, saying, acknowledging it, and stating basically not why it doesn't matter, because it does matter to the people you're trying to convince, but why it's basically not as big of a deal, I guess, or that the fact that you can say, oh, actually, in this paper, it'll disprove this fact, or whatever the deal is. But basically, you need to address the other side. So that's what that is. There is some readings in Odigia for week 8 that basically kind of explain a little more on refutation. So that's what's going on for this week. Nothing too crazy, but I want you to really spend the time thinking about your topic. What side are you picking? Really, what's your strong point? And now I need you to think about the other side. And if people are going to be arguing against you, how are you going to respond to that? Because you need to be able to deal with those issues in your paper. Because again, the overall goal here is to be able to convince people that you're right and for a change to happen. So, anyway, so that's it for week 8. All right, just go ahead and get to work.